not going to do that. We have currently lost 8 subscribers in the last hour. We can get to 57,775. That's all we need to do. So, anyway, Caitlin Clark acting as a photographer. You've even got the NBA Brazil page. Please tell me the actual NBA page. Wait, who is associated with? NBA Brazil. Okay.
Caitlin Clark recently showed up on the sidelines of an Indiana Pacers game as a photographer, and the moment spread fast. The Fever's social team ran with it, and the NBA Brazil account, which operates under the official NBA umbrella, picked it up as well. The actual NBA page followed suit, posting Clark among the first content out of a Lakers-Pacers matchup. For context, the Lakers were up 22 at the time, with Luka Doncic already sitting at 21 points in 12 minutes of play, which is its own separate conversation entirely.
Okay, sorry, yeah, they're associated with the NBA. That makes more sense. I didn't realize the NBA had changed their logo. I thought it was an NBA logo. Or changed their Twitter picture. That being said, like, it is a very, very big thing. It is a very big thing seeing seeing Caitlin Clark and seeing, the NBA still pushing Caitlin Clark, which is really important. That is a really important thing. I was going to see the actual...
Clark was spotted with what appeared to be a branded photography kit, wearing the required press vest that anyone shooting from that position has to have on. She has spoken openly about modeling parts of her game after Tyrese Halliburton, so seeing her on the floor while he was actively playing added another layer to the moment. What makes this worth paying attention to beyond the surface-level novelty is what it represents organizationally. The Pacers and the Fever operate under the same ownership through Herb Simon, and more than any other NBA-WNBA pairing, that Indiana setup has produced a genuine two-way relationship between the franchises.
Actual NBA page. Can we see if the actual NBA page posted anything about it? Yes, they have. Caitlin Clark on the cam first up, Tyrese and Jade. Obviously, this is a Lakers-Pacers game, which I'm assuming that the Lakers are winning, considering how the Lakers have been doing. But even the NBA is posting, about Caitlin Clark being a photographer at a game, which is good to see.
Pacers players have shown up to Fever games. Fever players have been visible around Pacers events. Several players from both rosters stay in the market during the offseason, which builds that connection further over time. When the Pacers were in the NBA Finals, the Fever were still selling out Banker's Life.
Posting, about Caitlin Clark being a photographer at a game, which is good to see. And yes, the Lakers are up 22 points. And Luka Doncic has 21 points in 12 minutes. Fucking hell. That man is a joke. That man is a joke. I'm not going to lie. He's a joke. But Caitlin Clark obviously getting to see the player. She says she models her game on with is that a bag? Or is that something for photographers to sit on? Branded with Caitlin Clark?
That doesn't happen by accident, and it doesn't happen in most markets. If the Fever were to win a championship, there's a real argument that they'd become Indiana's top sports priority, and this past season, with Halliburton sidelined for a stretch and the Pacers struggling, the Fever arguably already held that position for a period. The NBA continuing to platform Clark matters for a specific reason. It signals sustained investment rather than a one-season curiosity. That kind of visibility across both leagues reinforces something the Fever and Pacers have been quietly building, that a WNBA franchise can carry equal weight in a market rather than being treated as a secondary product.
Refers to sit on, branded with Caitlin Clark jewels. That's kind of cool. That is kind of cool. Caitlin Clark doing photography. When you've got Lake Show Yo posting about you. What's next? Is LeBron going to be posting? Oh, I'm not followed by Lake Show Yo, am I? There was just this weird thing where I can't remember. I was in a group chat with loads of these at one stage, and I got followed by loads, and I was like, oh yeah, all these weird NBA accounts.
Other ownership groups haven't replicated this to the same degree. The Suns and Mercury share connections, and Sophie Cunningham has worked with the Phoenix organization, but the cross-promotion doesn't reach the same level. The Mystics and Wizards operate under separate ownership entirely.
At one stage, I got followed by those and was like, oh yeah, all these weird NBA accounts, which is why I'm still followed by Centel. That's one of my proudest Twitter things is I am followed by Centel. But yeah, it's a very all around interesting thing, and I think it's cool. I think it's just cool. It's cool in general seeing Caitlin Clark be in this position. It's cool that the Pacers. I do feel like the Pacers are doing it well because I've said this from the start. Is they are the one team in my opinion that
the Nets and Liberty share an owner, which could eventually produce something similar. The Valkyries had their own visibility boost last season through an unlikely source, though that particular avenue has lost most of its credibility heading into this year. For now, the Indiana model is the clearest example of what intentional franchise alignment between an NBA and WNBA team actually looks like in practice.
Pacers are doing it well because I've said this from the start. Is they are the one team in my opinion that treat their WNBA team as equals. As in, not even as equals, as in like Indiana, it's the one where it's like the WNBA and the NBA team both sell out arenas. Like when the Pacers were in the finals, the WNBA team were still selling out arenas. Like if the Fever go and win a title, the Fever will be Indiana's number one team. And the fact is, like this year,
Clark photographing from the sideline of a Pacers game is a small moment, but it's also a product of something that's been built deliberately over time. None of it reaches this level without Clark at the center of it, and the path to cementing her legacy in Indiana still runs through winning. Tamika Catching set a standard that requires a title to meaningfully challenge.
And the fact is, like this year, considering how poor the Pacers have been while Halliburton's been injured, the Fever absolutely are probably Indiana's number one team. And it's one of those things as well where there is, more so than any other team, there is that kind of cross link where you're seeing the players like actually show up to Fever games. You're seeing there be a link. And it does help as well that Herb Simon owns both the teams. I'm surprised there's not more maybe between the Liberty and stuff. But at the same time, quite a lot of Fever players stay in market.
The front office, which recently revealed the existence of a scout to the apparent surprise of nearly everyone paying attention, has some work to do on that front. Kathy Engelbert's position at the top of the WNBA appears to be secure, and the clearest confirmation came straight from NBA Commissioner Adam Silver during his annual press conference with the media. The event was primarily focused on the NBA's expansion plans, a franchise heading to Las Vegas and a lottery draft edition in Seattle, but a reporter pivoted and asked directly about Engelbert's future with the league.
I haven't had those discussions recently with Kathy, and even in terms of her future plans and how long she wants to do this. She had a storied career before she came to the WNBA as the CEO, of Deloitte. But I'd only say the results speak for themselves, and I'm very happy.
Adam Silver letting the world know he is very pleased with the job Kathy has done. Me personally, I feel like Caitlin Clark had a lot to do with that success. Check out some of the stuff that has been coming out in regards to Kathy Engelbert. Roll the footage.
These questions going into the CBA negotiations was Kathy Engelbert's staff.
Silver didn't hesitate. He called her tenure a success, pointed to the on-court results as evidence, and made clear he hadn't had any conversations suggesting a change was coming. The growth of the league, which many observers attribute in large part to Caitlin Clark's arrival, seemed to be the foundation of Silver's satisfaction.
Negotiations was Kathy Engelbert's status with the W. Now, we know at the closing out of the 2025 season, the players wanted her out of there. And I'm here to tell you, judging off the statement she just released, it don't look like that is the case. It looked like Kathy Engelbert possibly could be here to stay. Now, we know Nafisa Collier and many others voiced their frustrations about Kathy Engelbert. She even stated that she spoke about Caitlin Clark actually not helping the WNBA reach the status that it.
That praise stands in contrast to where things stood just months ago. As the 2025 season wound down, a faction of players had made it known they wanted Engelbert gone. Nafisa, Collier, and others had publicly expressed frustration with her leadership.
Reached the status that is at. If it wasn't for the WNBA platform giving Caitlin Clark pretty much a voice, we wouldn't know about Caitlin Clark. Now, we all cannot forget that. Now, from what I was hearing early on, months ago, was that part of this agreement was that Kathy had to be gone. Now, I'm here to tell you, That ain't the case, bruh. So whoever told me that didn't know what the hell they was talking about, because I am here to tell you, it looked like Kathy Engelbert is rolling the WNBA with a.
One of the more pointed criticisms came when Engelbert suggested that the WNBA's platform had elevated Clark rather than the other way around, implying the league deserved equal credit for Clark's rise to prominence. There were even early reports circulating that her departure had been quietly built into the CBA framework as a condition for getting a deal done. Those reports turned out to be wrong.
Kathy Engelbert is rolling the WNBA with a Thanos snap, bruh, because she ain't going nowhere, bruh. So Alexa Philippou just broke the news moments ago, dog. And I'm here to tell you, Kathy Engelbert is hella in the building. She ain't leaving. She is here to stay, judging off this statement that Alexa Philippou has put out on her platform. Now, this was put out 15 minutes ago, statement from WNBA Commissioner Kathy.
Instead, Engelbert released a statement framing the new agreement as the launch of a transformative chapter for the league. She referenced the passion of players, owners, fans, and investors, and pointed toward the upcoming 30th season kicking off in May as a milestone to build around. Nothing in her statement acknowledged any tension or uncertainty about her role. It read as the words of someone fully in control and looking ahead.
Kathy Engelbert. This is what Kathy just stated, bruh. She stated this marks the beginning of a bold new era of the WNBA, one made possible by the passion and the dedication of the players, team owners, fans, investors, partners, and the entire WNBA family. WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert stated, "We remain focused on building the unprecedented momentum around the league and preparing for our milestone 30th season, tipping off in May."
The formal news broke shortly after. The WNBA Board of Governors unanimously ratified the CBA, completing a process that had already seen unanimous approval from the Players Association. The deal runs through 2032 with an opt-out available after the 6th year, beginning with the 2026 season. Once both sides finalize the long-form documentation, the agreement becomes fully binding.
For our milestone 30th season, tipping off in May. Not once did Kathy Engelbert state she's leaving. Not once did she state her job is in trouble. Not once in this statement. Now, Kathy has been the last person to speak about this. Now, she released this statement due to the players unanimously voting to ratify the current status. It says, breaking news, the WNBA Board of Governors had unanimously voted to ratify the terms of the CBA's agreement.
Alongside the CBA news, Cleveland moved closer to landing a WNBA franchise after announcing the addition of a minority ownership partner, a development that had been anticipated for some time. The expansion conversation continues to build momentum across multiple cities. On the court, the timing of the ratification overlapped with a standout Team USA performance that gave fans a preview of what the 2026 season could look like.
Agreement. The agreement has now been ratified by both the WNBA PA and the league, and both sides must now complete a long-term form document, possibly means signed. So it goes on to say in the comments, season is officially official now. Somebody else stated, now can we start talking about the refereeing? Damn, this still not over yet? What the F else they got to do? They probably got to put pen to paper, man.
Clark was a particular highlight, dropping 12 points with logo range threes and a ball handling display that drew comparisons to some of the more creative guards in the professional game. A behind-the-back drive to the basket that cut through the defense cleanly was among the more jaw-dropping moments. The argument that she should be in the starting lineup gained more fuel from that showing.
This still not over yet? What the F else they got to do? They probably got to put pen to paper, man. How much do the players have to pay back in the new revenue sharing agreement? Was there anything in there about exclusively and not playing in competitive leagues like Unrivaled? Was there anything in there about the refs? And how long did they agree for years of service developmental players? Can you find out which side decided to screw up this salary cap? Is this why the NBA has to spend $30K less this year? Geesh. So
Paige Buchers added 12 points of her own, while Kalia Copper led the team with 15. Chelsea Gray chipped in 11 points and 8 assists after a quieter stretch, and Dejounte Carrington brought 6 points alongside 9 rebounds and 5 assists. Team USA handled the opposition comfortably, but the performance that generated the most conversation afterward was Clark's, a sign that expectations heading into the new season are as high as they've ever been.